Good Friday morning, everybody. It's Sarah in her kitchen. Today I'm going to make something that I have never made before, but I'm confident that I'll be able to do it. Fingers crossed. But before I get into it, I want to give you a few tips. I am going to be making those soft pretzels that you typically buy at the mall and some beer battered cheese. So bear with me on that. But before I get started, I wanted to go over a few little tips for you, okay? When you're going to cook or bake or whatever you're making, always get your ingredients all out first. That's number one. Second thing is when you're dealing with bread, be it your sourdough bread, your sandwich bread, or pretzels. This is a tip I've learned when I started dealing with bread and dough. Never put any of your dough down in your drain. That means flour that's mixed with water, nothing like that. It's cheaper to replace paper towels than it is to call out a plumber, unless you're married to one or you're one yourself. Otherwise, I'll just keep using my paper towel. So I always rinse out my bowls with minimal amount of water. I have my big tall garbage can right here at my side, ready to throw any liquid in there too, okay? All the liquid water, it never goes down the drain, okay? So you do what you want to do, but just a word of caution. So, and I always like to have a wet towel with me so I can just quickly wipe off my hands, because typically I would use my dish towel, but again, you don't want to get any of that dough mixed in because it'll ruin them, and then you just have to throw them away. So keep a wet towel handy. And the other thing, then I pull out a bunch of these, maybe depending on what I'm making. I've got a stack over there of about 8 to 10 of these, so that whenever I need them, I can get to them easily and I don't have to touch my paper towel roller and pull them off with messy fingers. So I can just use these. So that's another tip for you. The recipe is going to call for sugar. And I looked it up to see if I could replace honey. You can, but if you do, you have to also change the amount of liquid that you use. So in lieu of messing up my dough, I'm going to stick with the sugar. Some recipes call for white, some recipes call for brown. And the recipe I'm using is 2 tablespoons of sugar. So, me being me, I did 1 teaspoon of white and 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. And the only difference between brown sugar and white sugar is brown sugar has had molasses added to it. That's how they make brown sugar. Another tip, go on Amazon and you'll find these little tiny clay bears. They're so cute. They're only about that big. I should have pulled it out of my container to show you. But you get that and you wet that and you soak it in water for 20 minutes. Pat it dry and put it in with your brown sugar, and your brown sugar will not harden up anymore. I can't tell you how many times until I learned a few tricks on how to soften it. Another way is, if you don't want to buy that, you always have sliced bread. You can take a slice of bread and put it into that container, that airtight container that your brown sugar is in, and that too will soften it up. But the bread's not going to last in there. Where that little cute little bear, he's going to stay in there, and it'll keep that brown sugar nice and soft for you. So that's another tip for you. I'm going to use an egg wash at the end of mine. I always like to use an egg wash on my sandwich bread, and I only use the yolk. I keep the whites and I add it to my egg for breakfast the next morning, but I only use the yolk and 1 tablespoon of milk. Mix that up and that'll be my egg wash, so you know that. I'm using Diamond kosher salt in the recipe, but at the end, when my pretzels are all baked, then I'm going to use this. I bought this off of Amazon too. This is actual sea salt pretzel salt. So if you're going to make pretzels, you got to do it right, okay? So that is that. The other thing is, this is kind of cool. This is a, see that? It'll tell you how hot or what the temperature is of anything you want. The only thing is, it does take a while to reach that temperature. Like your water, you want your water to be at least 110 degrees. So, so this is a nice gadget to have. And otherwise, I use my one that I have over on my refrigerator that's got the long cord that's got where you can stick it in the oven, which that one's much faster because it'll give you a read boom like that. So either way, it's nice to have one of those to know that you're up to 110 for the water. Okay, so I will get started and I'll be right back. Okay, let's get ready and make some soft pretzels. So first thing you want to do is I'm going to start in my KitchenAid mixer, stand mixer, and I'm going to put in 1.5 cups of 110 degree water. If you get it too hot, it's going to kill the yeast, so you don't want it to be too hot. And I'm using the dry active yeast. So that just means you're going to have to let it sit a while until it gets frothy, which takes only 5 minutes. So add the yeast. And because yeast is fed, let me get my stirrer. Yeast is fed with sugar, so we're going to add the sugar to the yeast and the water. That was 2 tablespoons of sugar. Stir it, mix it up, let that sugar dissolve, and the yeast will start eating the sugar, and then you'll see that foam. That's what you're looking for, which takes about 5 minutes. See what I mean by wiping things off with a paper towel that you can throw away? See, nice and clean. All right, I'm going to take this over to the mixing bowl and wait the 5 minutes, and then I'll be back. Okay. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and nothing fills the heart and soul more than having a phone call from your Tennessee family. My daughter called me, so that was sweet. So anyway, back to my pretzels. My yeast is nice and frothy. So here, I'll show you. This is what you're looking for. Let me see, can you see that? You should be able to. That's what you're looking for, all those bubbles. And let me do this too. That might help also. So, oh, okay. There we go. That's the one that stays on. So anyway, after that is nice and frothy, now I'm going to add my salt. Remember, that was 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 cup of oil. So there we go with that. And now we're going to turn the mixer on, lock it in place, turn it on low, and we're going to add in 4 cups of flour, very slowly. Actually, I'm going to start out with 2 cups in here. That's not going to hurt anything. So let's just put 2 cups in here from the get-go. Mix this around a little bit so it's not flopping all over the place. All those little things make a difference. All the little tricks. So we got that stirred up. Flour incorporated, so I'm going to add some more. Mix that around until the flour gets all incorporated into the liquid. Now you could do this yourself with your hands if you wanted to, but the mixer's going to make it come together very nice. And let's see. I bought one of those KitchenAid covers to be able to put your flour in there and not have it go all over the place, but it didn't fit. I don't know. I don't know why. If it was meant for the metal stainless steel bowl, I don't know, but mine is a glass and it just wouldn't fit. So, okay. Remember what I said about having the papers ready to go? Good example right there. Okay, so now let's turn it on. Get that flour all incorporated. I'm going to take my wet towel and wash my hands. Remember, you keep one of these paper towels wet so you can clean up easy. No dough goes in the sink. Put that in the trash. Unless you want your pipes to harden and then you have to call a plumber, and that's not good. Okay, it's starting to get nice and incorporated. I'm going to turn the speed up one notch. What we're looking for is for the dough to come all together and all the sides are nice and clean. Okay, the sides are nice and clean. I'm going to turn it up one more notch. That looks good. See, it slides right off of the hook. We're done with that, so we can take and get that out of the way. That wet paper towel, we're going to wipe this down because remember, no dough goes in the sink, in the drain. Okay, that's free of all the dough. So now this will go in the wash water. Wipe my fingers off here. And then okay, now I'm going to pick this up. Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Don't want it on any paper towel. That's why I have my stainless steel down here. Oh. Maybe I should have sprayed that stainless steel before I got my fingers all doughy again. But that's why we have our paper towels. Because I don't like to get things dirty that don't need to be dirty. And I always like to clean up as I go. So fingers are clean. So now we're going to take some spray, oil spray, and I use Chosen, and we're going to spray the bowl. Okay? Just put a little bit on my hands too. Pick my dough back up. And we're going to just sit it back in that oil. Wipe my hands off again from the oil. And I have these shower caps. I guess they're shower caps, but they're actually used for my baking and cooking. So we're just going to take a shower cap, plastic cap, I should just call it, and cover the bowl. We're going to let that sit at room temperature for 1 hour, and I do have my furnace turned up to 72 today. So anyway, 1 hour, I'll be back. Okay friends, while the dough is rising for the pretzels, it takes an hour, and I still have about 30 minutes left. So I got everything all cleaned up, got all my ingredients out to do the beer cheese dip. So here it is. I'm going to melt 3 tablespoons of butter in the skillet. Okay, let me get my spoon. Gosh, where'd I put it? Oh, here it is. 3 tablespoons of butter going into the skillet. Low to medium heat, maybe medium. Once the butter is all melted, while that's melting, I'll tell you, it's half and half, equal parts. So 3 tablespoons of butter to 3 tablespoons of flour, and we're going to make a roux. And that is what's going to help thicken the cheese dip. So we'll get the butter all melted, then we'll add in the cheese. We'll turn this up a little bit. I'm using all-purpose flour, 3 tablespoons of flour into 3 tablespoons of melted butter. This is how I make my white gravy. I was raised on white gravy as a kid. My mom used to make it all the time. And we would make toast and put that white gravy over that toast. It was so good. But we didn't have a toaster. We had those old floor stoves. And they had a wire frame in front of them. So we just slid the bread down in front on those wire frames, and then the fire would toast it, and we'd turn it, toast it. That's how we made our toast. I go way back, okay, and I'm proud of it. I mean, you know what? I can go back to that, but young people today, they wouldn't know how to survive. But not that I want to go back to it, but no regrets. Okay, so that's all nice and bubbly. So now let's put in our flour and start mixing that up. Once we incorporate that flour, you want that flour to cook a little bit and kind of cook off the flavor of flour. You don't want flour. You want the butter, that nice buttery, nutty flavor of the butter. Now, if I were making gravy, the longer I let this brown, then I can have brown gravy. So there's another tip for you. So after we get that incorporated, then we're going to add in, I have a, let's see, I have a half a cup of milk. Pour that in and mix. And this is where the beer comes into play. I have 3/4 cup of beer. So you could add more milk if you want. You can omit the beer if you don't want it. Leave it out, that's your choice. It's going to burn off. That alcohol is going to be gone. It's not really alcohol. So, okay, now I'm going to turn this down. Looks like it's getting a little too warm. So I'm going to turn this down, add more liquid. You have to cook by sight, not necessarily by amounts of things. So I'm going to add just a little bit more milk. I don't think that half a cup was enough. So let's do, I'll measure that out so you'll know. I'm going to do another half. And I buy grass-fed. You don't want pasture-raised eggs or cage-free. You want it to say pasture-raised. That way you know those chickens and cows were out in the pasture, grazing in the fields. I'm going to put all that in because you want a nice creamy sauce. Okay, let's put this aside. And now I'm going to go back to my big spoon so I can get the edges. Okay. Nice and creamy, and I've got it on semi-low because you don't want it to boil or burn. You want it nice and smooth and creamy. So from here, I'm going to sprinkle in some Dijon mustard, or I'm sorry, here I'm going to put in some Worcester sour sauce. Just sprinkle it around, gives a good flavor. And now, Worcester sour sauce, and again, just sprinkle it on. Okay, that's tasty. Dijon mustard. Wipe my fingers off and continue on. That was maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons. That's going to give it some good flavor. Give it a little bite, a little kick. Add in a little sprinkle of garlic powder. And again, if you don't like some of these things, turn that down. You don't want it to bubble. And onion powder. And again, that's all to taste. It's already smelling good. I'm going to add a splash more of my milk before I put in my cheese. And I've got my cheese all grated. I didn't really super measure it. I just did a mix. You can use whatever cheese you want, whether it's cheddar cheese. I used cheddar cheese. I used pepper jack and mozzarella. And I just used a little bit of each, but it all totaled 20 grams. So if that helps you, but you can put as much or as little cheese in as you want. So once you get that to a nice smooth consistency, see that? That's what you're looking for, because the cheese is going to thicken that up too. And as it cools down, that's good, even without the cheese. So now, in goes my 20 grams of cheese. Set that aside. We'll put our cheese in here. And the dough is rising beautifully too, by the way. I took a peek at it earlier. Wipe my fingers. Always keep your dishwater there so you can always clean up. Wash your hands when you need to so you don't get your bottles and jars all dirty. I don't like that. Now you notice I started out with a whisk, but then I changed to my spoon. Just keep stirring it until it gets nice and smooth again where the cheese is all melted. Don't want anything to burn. If it looks too thick, add either a little more beer or a little more milk. That's all. You can kind of help melt that cheese down. See the mozzarella? Turn that up just a tad, but again, I don't want anything to burn. Let me taste. Wash my hands. I'm going to give it another shot of Worcester sour sauce. You do whatever you want, whatever flavor you're looking for, add it. Done with this. I think I'm done with that. A little more Dijon doesn't hurt anything either. So I want you to know you can add as much as you want or as little as you want. Okay, that should do it. Looks smooth. Looks like the cheese is melted. Can't wait for those pretzels to be done. It's a nice little Friday night treat. Should have done it Saturday during the college football games or Sunday, but the work is all done. All I have to do is put them back in the oven and heat it all up. And we can have it Saturday college games or Sunday pro games. Okay, let's see. That's a winner. That is a winner. Okay, that is off. We're going to put the lid on it. turned the heat off, got the lid on it, and it's going to sit here now until I get the pretzels made. Can't wait. Be back later. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and it's been an hour now since my dough for my pretzels has been rising, so I'm going to get it, and we're going to put it here on the counter. Look at this. Look at this, how beautiful. Look at that. So we're just going to dump it out on the counter. Shimmy and shake, and it'll fall right out of here. Again, minimal water with a little paper towel. Clean that all out before you wash it in the sink. Throw it then in the trash. All that liquid, don't let it go down the sink. So I'm going to take this. See how little that was? Got my paper towel, and I'm just going to work it. That dough's going to be fine just sitting there. And even if it did dry out, as soon as you hit it with a little bit of this water, it's going to dissolve and break that flour and water dough up, and you'll be able to discard it into the trash. But I just want to show you, this is how I do it. Yeah, I know it's a lot of work, but believe me, like I said earlier, I'd rather buy as many paper towels than call a plumber to fix my pipes or cause real havoc. I live in a condo development, and all my pipes are under the ground, which all of ours are. So you don't want to have to go digging up pipes when you don't need to. Okay, see, I cleaned all that out. It's now all liquid form, so all that's going to go down in the trash, and there's plenty of paper products and all kind of stuff in the trash. And remember how I said I have extra ones, so now I'm going to wipe this out. And now it's ready to go in my dish water to be cleaned. There's no flour, nothing that's going to block my drains. So we'll sit that in the sink. Actually, I'm going to put it in my dishwater because I always keep dishwater on hand. Okay, I'm going to take my rings off because I don't want to fill them with, I don't even know why I have them on. Usually I don't wear them when I cook, but I forgot and had them on. So this dough can be anywhere from 80 to 90 grams for a pretzel, but that pretzel looked a little big to me, so I'm gonna see how many grams I'm gonna do. I'm gonna divide the dough in half. I'm gonna divide it again. Then I'm going to divide it again. And divide it again. You can't see that, I'm sorry. See what I'm doing? I just keep dividing the dough. Now I could pinch it off, but I want to see how many grams. So we have 8 pieces. So let's see how many grams. That's going to be a lot, I can tell. So anyway, I have this scale. So let me see if you can see my scale. There's my scale, okay? So I put the glass on there, but now I want to zero it out. So it's 0. So this is how many grams is in that. Way too much. That's 93 grams. That's too big. So I'm going to put this back. And let's divide this in half. And again, I'm doing it in the pie shape. I don't want big fat pretzels. If you want big fat pretzels, then do it that way. That one's 48. So let's see what this one is. 44. I don't think that was 48. Was that 48? Yeah, that's 48. This one's 44. 44. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep, because what you're going to actually end up doing is taking that dough, and then you're just going to start rolling it out. Roll it. And what you're doing is you're pressing it down and elongating it as you go. So if you want big fat pretzels, then do 80 to 90 grams. But I don't want them that fat. I want to see what this size does. And you can do them anywhere from 18 to 24 inches in length. Doesn't have to be perfect. So now, let's take and move these if we can. Get these a little bit out of my way. Right now, this is just bread. But then we're going to do, oh gosh, yeah, I forgot. No, I do that after I shape it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, so now we're going to take and we're going to shape this, and we're going to take it like this, and we're going to crisscross it. See? Then we're going to crisscross it again. Then we're going to bring it down like this and pinch it. Look at that. I think I like that versus the big fat ones. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of them, and then I'll be back because I'm going to mix up the hot water baking soda solution. So I'll be back. Okay, I got one last one to do. So we're going to take, see how narrow that one is? I'm going to tuck that tail under, okay, and smooth it to where it's pretty even all the way around. So just take all 5 fingers, 10, and just go each hand and just start in the middle, and don't forget, use your thumbs too, and just roll. Just slide back and forth like this, and I'm going to move you back. So whenever it comes to the ends, don't worry about, make sure the ends get a little thinner because they're just going to get pinched down when you do your crisscross. So now they got the long rope, so now you're just going to put one on top of the other, crisscross it again, bring those tails down and pinch it. It's that easy. Okay? There we go. 3, 6, 16 of them. 16 out of mine, and they're about 45 to 50 grams, give or take. Okay? So now I'll be right back with the water sodium solution. Okay, we're back. I've got some hot water. It's about 115 degrees. And I put some baking soda in it. You want it to look murky. So I'm going to add some more baking soda. And this is what's going to give it that pretzel texture, because otherwise it would just be bread if you don't do this step right here. So you want some hot water in a shallow pan with some baking soda. Okay, get your water murky with the baking soda. There we go. Then we're going to dip each one down in the water. Like so. I'll do 4 at a time because I want to flip it. I better use my hands. Sometimes your hands are the best tools. Put it in there about 20 seconds or so just to coat the dough. Pull it out and place it on your parchment paper on the lined baking sheet. I'm going to do 2 methods here. I'm going to do one on my air fryer rack, which will allow, although the parchment paper is going to not allow it to act like an air fryer, but I want to see the difference between the rack with parchment paper and my sheet pan with parchment paper. We'll see if there's a difference. Okay. Now I don't want these to actually bake and touch one another, so I'm going to be doing mine in batches. Yes, I could have put them in my regular conventional oven, which then I probably would have been able to get them all, but I want to see how this goes. So now that I did that, the next step is I've taken that 1 egg yolk with 1 tablespoon of milk, and I'm just going to coat the tops. Let me come down here so you can see what I'm doing. Like I told you before, I do this to my sandwich bread, and it really makes a beautiful crust. So let's see what it does to my pretzels. I've got my pretzel salt all set, ready to sprinkle on. I've got my oven preheating to 425. So we'll pop these in, and then I'll continue on and do the rest of them. This may only take about 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, that's on. And now for the salt. Here we go. This is actually pretzel salt, so that's going to be awesome. You know, when you buy those pretzels at the mall, that salt that you get, that's what this is. I don't want to really super waste it either. But that's kind of hard not to, you got to get it all over. Okay, these beauties are going in the oven. And let's see how long it takes to bake in a convection oven. Here we go. Okay, I set that oven at 8 minutes, so I'll be back. I'm going to finish the rest of them, but I'm going to put them on a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. Are you ready to see this? Look at these. Beautiful. They came out beautiful. They're hot. They're super hot. I just took them out of the oven. I got the other ones in, and I'll be back. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and I only have a little bit of battery life left here, so I'm going to do this real quick. Look at this. These are still hot. I just took these out of the oven. You're not seeing them. There you go. Look how beautiful. Look at that. They're hot. Look at these. Beautiful. Put a little more salt on those ones. These are cooled down now, so I can test one for us. Let's take this one. Oh my, oh my. Okay, I'm going to take it without the cheese first. Got a crunch. With the cheese. That cheese is very good. And then that salt, the pretzel salt, just like the mall, only better and probably healthier, because I use good ingredients. Okay, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you take heed to some of the tips I gave you, because they really do work out. Makes your cooking and your baking experience much nicer. And look, everything's already pretty much cleaned up. No mess in the kitchen. I like to keep the kitchen clean as I bake or cook or whatever I'm doing. I always clean up everything, so as I go along. So anyway, hope you make some pretzels and dip. If you do, show me. Let me see them. Appreciate you watching the video. Bye-bye.